I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday night or Friday morning, depending on when you're listening. Sean Green's here, and he'll be here at this time the rest of the season. Last week was just a rescheduling, so he'll be here at this time. I normally don't do reaction stuff, and I'll tell you why, though. I feel like my first reaction is I usually regret it, and I feel like do you guys do reaction stuff? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, so we'll do it on we do a Sunday night show live after the whole Sunday slate, and then reaction show, and then we'll do the Monday night props on that episode as well. But yeah, I know what you mean, because your instant reaction is like just screaming and incoherent. You almost need, especially depending on the loss, depending how frustrating the loss was, you need like a day to kind of look at the film, look at the box score, try and wrap your head around what went wrong instead of just yelling at the camera. But that can also be fun too.
Yeah, like my reaction right now is Washington is trash. But like in reality, I think Green Bay's defense might be really good. And that's probably the proper takeaway, but that's not how I feel currently.
Yeah, they had a stat that it was the first time since 1996, back-to-back games for the Packers, allowing less than 250 yards. And yeah, this defense looks pretty good. I also think, road Thursday night spots are always tough for the team. Of course, Commanders, very old roster. Maybe that played something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, you just look at that defensive line. That defensive line is legit. And they just destroyed both Detroit and the Washington, who went pretty far in the NFC last year in the playoffs. So great start if you're a Packers fan.
Absolutely. And I think as I take a deeper look at the things later in the week, maybe I think the proper takeaway is that the Packers defense is real. And because when I was watching, it's not like Jaden Daniels had a ton of opportunities to make play. I mean, Noah Brown could have made a catch early on that could have been a momentum swinger, like he got dropped it, or he kind of got held on the play, to be honest. But yeah, the Packers just might be a powerhouse, man. And you had Green Bay in the game, right?
Yeah, I had Green Bay laying the 3, and it wasn't much of a sweat. There were certainly moments during the game where you're like, man, this Packers team kind of should be up by more. As good as Jordan Love has looked in these first couple games, there's still a couple of moments where you're like, whoa, dude, where did that throw come from? And I mean, if you had the Commanders in the points, they had a chance to backdoor that. And it was that as a Packer backer, I almost wish they were only up by 8, but when they're up by 9, they had that 2-score cushion. They really sit back normally, but and that's when the back door is wide open. But they got it done. They got the win. They got the cover. But yeah, it was certainly with the missed field goals, with not taking the field goal, it seemed like LaFleur wanted them to take that field goal. And then they had a couple deep shots. They had a penalty. They had a touchdown called back on penalty. So they could have ran it up even more, I think, against this Commanders team. So that's kind of what I was worried about during the game. But yeah, overall, obviously, nice win for them.
Yeah, for sure. I did not. If I got that back door, I certainly didn't deserve it. With Commanders plus 3.5. There's actually a game we're about to talk about that's a perfect example of my initial reaction being wrong, but it's not this one. We're starting off with Bills-Jets, and unfortunately, I agree with your pick. I hate that I do, but I agree with it. So go ahead. You're on the Jets.
Yes, I'm on the Jets. Well, I liked what I saw out of this Jets team. The offense, Justin Fields looked very good. He was running all over the place. 2 rushing touchdowns. I do sweating a season-long prop. Justin Fields' most rushing touchdown. So great start to that. But for me, the Jets dominated the Steelers, even though they didn't get the win. They 6.4 yards per play compared to the Steelers 5.0. So I always like to back teams getting a bunch of points that dominated stuff like yards per play and then didn't get the win. Now, on the other hand, the Bills, this is just a classic letdown spot. I had the Bills, very fortunate, obviously, to get that win Sunday night. Even hammered them. We were at the Circa watching the game. I got in at plus 410 live, which was obviously awesome. But I mean, the Bills defense looked really rough. I think this Jets team can move the ball against them, keep it competitive. Josh Allen has struggled historically against the Jets, as crazy as it sounds. I think Aaron Glenn is a good defensive coordinator, a good head coach so far, at least from what we saw game one. And, just kind of fading the comeback miracle win. In general, if you are a team that's dumping the Gatorade after a historic win, now they didn't actually dump the Gatorade, but you know what I mean? That they oh, hey, miracle win, I'm always going to look to fade you. And now they're a division road favorite with a Thursday look ahead spot for them as well, the Bills. This feels like a sandwich spot, and I think the Jets keep it close here.
Yeah, I agree, and I can't believe that. I think Justin Fields might have himself a game here. Obviously, the Bills got the win, the amazing game. They allowed 9.3 yards per play. Guys, for those of you that don't look at these stats all week, 9.3 yards per play, Ohio State doesn't do that to Akron. That's some violent shit. The Bills allowed 9.3 yards per play. And specifically, I was just looking at Lamar Jackson stuff. When he had a clean pocket, he was essentially perfect. The Bills couldn't cover anybody. When Lamar Jackson had a clean pocket, he pieced him up. And weirdly enough, Justin Fields had the same looking numbers, piecing the Steelers up from a clean pocket. Look, is it sustainable? Not sure. But it looks like the Bills defense might need a few weeks to get going. I'm sure by the end of the season, that's going to be a really strong defense. But just like Sean said, coming off that crazy win, I think the Jets are going to move the football. And just like Sean said, Josh Allen, I have it right here, 6 career starts at MetLife. The Bills are 4-2 in those 6 starts, but he has 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, QB rating of 83.9. So he has not played well in this stadium. The Jets always seem to give him problems. Yeah, I'm with you. I also am not mad at an over here.
No, certainly. I mean, the Jets defense being as porous as they were against the Steelers, that was a bit surprising to me. And then if you're looking at the props, I mean, I'm going to continue to hammer Justin Fields anytime touchdown. And look at all the success Lamar had. And then Breece Hall looked very good against that Bills rush defense. This Bills defense, in particular, the secondary is pretty troubling. They're pretty banged up. To your point, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of figure it out. And yeah, at the end of the day, they have Josh Allen. Maybe he does have to do some Josh Allen type stuff and they kick a late field goal. But I think Jets are going to be hanging around this game.
Yeah, and you guys see the graphic on the screen says 5.5 because Circa has moved in on to 5.5. There are plenty of 6.5s out there. Yeah. So if you are going to bet the Jets, I would grab a 6.5, obviously. All right, let's move on to the next game. And the next game is, you picked the shittiest game to talk about, man. This game sucks. Like, why do you want to talk about this game? Seahawks Steelers, for those of you listening. Actually, I forget what you even said. Are you on? You're on Pittsburgh.
I'm on Steelers laying the 3. Yep. Yeah, and I maybe it is ugly. But I like this spot for the Steelers, and certainly I don't know if I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 4 touchdowns again. But Sam Darnold going on the road to the East Coast, I think, is going to be a dangerous spot for them. And in the same way that we saw Nick Bosa basically shove the left tackle or right tackle there of the Seahawks into Sam Darnold, causing that fumble to end the game, I wouldn't be surprised if we see TJ Watt do something similar in this game. TJ Watt, he did have 1 tackle for loss, but he didn't have an amazing game. And going back to why I kind of like the Jets, Membu, the new rookie right tackle, played pretty well against TJ Watt. I think TJ Watt has a get-right game. This is the home opener for the Steelers. They always get up for these type of games. And I think the Steelers defense, I don't know what was going on last week, but I do think they have a bounce-back game here. And I think they're able to move the ball against the Seahawks secondary. They let Ricky Pearsall go for 4 for 100. DK Metcalf has a bit of a revenge game aspect here as well. So I like the Steelers in general. They're just, if they're a small favorite, I'm usually going to be on them. Tomlin as a dog, anything short of when he starts laying big numbers or going on the road as a road favorite, that's when I get scared. But here's a small favorite. I like the Steelers a lot.
So I agree with the first half. I am not worried at all about the Steelers defense. Obviously, it was a bad performance against the Jets. It was a really bad performance. The numbers are pretty terrible against Justin Fields, but I'm in complete agreement. Not worried at all. Got to keep in mind that's the secondary is new. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, these guys never played together before. Yeah. It was a opening game on the road, and man, that place was going crazy. A lot of that's right by here. I'm in Jersey, and a lot of my friends who are Jets fans were going to that game. They don't give a shit about the season. That was the Super Bowl. Like, literally, they were like, we're going to beat Rodgers. That's it. Then who gives a shit what happens after? Like, that place was going. That was actually like a tough environment for the opener. So I'm not worried at all. about the Steelers defense and the Seahawks offense. Good Lord.
Yeah.
That was just, there were some times in the game where they broke a couple runs, but when the run wasn't there on first down, watching Sam Darnold try to do something against the 49ers, it was a painful watch. It doesn't give me any confidence at all. So I'm on board with, I don't think this
JSN looked all right. But yeah, I mean, Kenneth Walker didn't get much going. Charbonnet was just okay. And the only reason the Seahawks were in that game, it felt like, was the 49ers have a kicker who couldn't do anything to save his life, to block field goals. It was all 49ers mistakes that kept Seattle in that game.
Agreed. Here's where I disagree. At the end, you started talking about the Steelers offense and how you thought the Steelers were going to move the ball, and you mentioned Ricky Pearsall and the plays the 49ers made. Here's where I disagree, and that's why I'm going to just put up an under. I would lean towards the Seahawks if you can get a 3.5. Not going to do it. A lot of those plays Brock Purdy was making came on a play when he escaped out of the pocket because Seattle was putting pressure on him. Aaron Rodgers ain't doing that. And if Aaron Rodgers has shown us something in the last few years, he can't do that anymore. And I don't think people realize, because the Seahawks, they're like, betting on them is shitty, and they always find a way to blow the cover, and it's just like a disgusting team. You don't like them, and they have like a loaded defensive line, and they added DeMarcus Lawrence. They have a lot of talent on that defensive front. I think they could be really disruptive. They pressured Brock Purdy in almost 44% of his dropbacks. He kept escaping and making plays. Aaron Rodgers isn't. So I'm not sold on the Steelers offense based on one game. I think the Seahawks defense could be really disruptive here. So I'm going to put up under. Again, I think this might be the shittiest game on the board, though.
It does feel like a 21-17 game.
Yeah. Hope you get 21-17 Steelers. All right. Next up, we're disagreeing. But I don't even know if I have a good pick here. You're taking the big number.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Browns plus 11.5. I mean, the reasoning is probably pretty simple, right? Division game, big number, Joe Flacco. Am I close?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a bunch of the reasons, but I'm always the sandwich spot guy. This is the Ravens. Now maybe it's not as much of a sandwich game because it's a division opponent, but they are coming off a heartbreaking loss, and then they have another primetime game coming up next week, and you're going up against a Browns opponent that they think they can kind of destroy. And you have Myles Garrett on the defensive line. You have a competent Joe Flacco. I thought Harold Fannin did some nice stuff for this offense, and I just don't think the Browns are this bad. Early on in the season, double-digit dogs do better than later on in the season. Double-digit division dogs. 11.5 points is just a ton. And we were just talking about the Bills offense roasting this Ravens defense. Like, everyone talks about the miracle that Josh Allen pulled out, but he was able to do that because this Ravens secondary looked pretty cooked. Jair Alexander allowed 100 receiving yards. I think Cedric Tillman looks to have a big game here, and I think Joe Flacco is competent enough. And Stefanski, I think, is a very good head coach. I don't think he's going to get destroyed. This is a game earlier, it's early in the season. If it was later on in the season, they were laying down, maybe, but I think they're going to get up for this game. And as someone who got knocked out of Survivor week 2 last year, courtesy of this Ravens team, when they somehow lost to Gardner Minshew, this feels very similar, right? Because, hey, they lost a close primetime game, bounce back spot at home against an opponent, their favorite double digits. No way they lose this game. No way they don't cover. They were up double digits, and then they blew another lead. So I don't trust this Ravens team right now to close things out, and they've kind of gotten off to slow starts here, at least last season, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game is much closer than people think. 11.5, way too many points. Give me the Brownies.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I necessarily have a good pick here, but I did bet the Ravens minus the big number. A couple things jumped out. One, the 9.3 yards per play. I think this new look Ravens offense that we've seen the last couple of years is a little different than what we saw from like young Lamar Jackson. He's developed a lot as a passer. He's still not an elite passer, but he's a lot different. He gets the ball out a little bit quicker than he used to. Still a problem at times, but the offense, when it's on, is just unstoppable. It's so good. It's the best offense in the NFL when it's on. And Cleveland, I know we talk about Myles Garrett and we see the pass rush making crazy plays. This defense sucks on the road, and it always sucks on the road. And last year, they allowed 27.7 points per game, 6.7 yards per play. They were one of the worst road defenses in the NFL. So a lot of those Cleveland defensive moments happen at home in Cleveland. Now, Lamar doesn't have the best history against Cleveland. It's not like terrible, like Burrow really struggles against Cleveland. It's not that bad. But coming off the loss, I think they're going to move the ball fine here on the Browns. And honestly, the eye test deceives me because my eyes told me Joe Flacco was playing pretty well. His stat line and his numbers say he sucks. I don't.
Well, in Flacco's defense, which you could use this as a point for or against the Browns, like those 2 interceptions, he hit the guys right in the hands. I've never seen that in a game where twice it hit the receivers in the hands and they almost like it felt like they tipped it to the defender. Now you could say like Joe Flacco got unlucky, or this is the Browns and their receivers suck so hard that they're helping the defenders get interceptions. It's kind of how you want to frame it, honestly. But like eye test, I thought he played pretty well. I get the numbers wouldn't be favorable in part because of those interceptions and his pass catchers letting him down, but those are the same pass catchers that are going out on the road. So I think it kind of depends on how much you think they regress back to what you would expect from normal pass catchers.
Yeah, he absolutely. The eye test, I watched a lot of that game, and I was like, dude, Flacco's playing pretty well. So I agree with that. Last week, the Browns averaged 2 yards per carry against Cincinnati. This Baltimore run defense was savage last year. I mean, even in the opener, they weren't gashed on the ground. Josh Allen cooked them through the air. They actually had decent numbers against the run. The run's probably not going to be there again for Cleveland. And talk about Flacco on the road trying to keep up. Yeah, I'll take the Ravens in a blowout. The Ravens look so impressive offensively. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a good amount of these Ravens blowouts this year. I did bet this, not overly thrilled with it. What I am overly thrilled with is the next one. Let's go.
Let's do it.
For those of you that didn't tune in last week, Sean decided to go out on a limb and fade Lou Anarumo, the greatest defensive mind in the league. Didn't work out for him.
No.
So, granted, I can't say we completely disagree because I was one of the sharps on the 3.5. Watch, I'm all over it. But no, I did get a good number here. I'm on the Colts at 3.5. So I'll put up the Colts at 2.5, but I wouldn't bet it at 2.5. In fact, I was saying before, if I found a Broncos at a pick'em, I would middle it. So,
and honestly, Circa this afternoon had Broncos at a pick. So I'm going to be trying now. I'm fine with Broncos anything under 3. And yes, I am going back in the ring with Lou Anarumo one more time. You sent me that hilarious Photoshop of me getting knocked out by sweet Lou Anarumo, and I didn't hear no bell, Kyle, because I'm looking for some more punishment. Here's my theory. That is a great. It really, the AI on me getting knocked out by Lou is very impressive. Now, this is certainly getting in my head, but Kyle, part of my handicapping is fading historic performances in one-game samples. And what we saw with the Bills in that crazy comeback, that was a historic outlier, right? Like the crazy comeback. Now, certainly it's Josh Allen, etc., but I'm fading that. And then you look at this Colts offense. The Colts scored on every offensive possession. That hasn't happened since 1978. Call me crazy when I think that's not going to happen again. And I think Sean Payton knows what's going on with this Denver Broncos team. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of RJ Harvey, limit Bo Nix's mistakes. I mean, there's a couple ways you could look at it. One, the Broncos outgained the Titans by over 200 yards and still covered 7.5 if you got that early number on the Broncos. In some ways, that's kind of impressive considering how sloppy and poorly they played. Now you go up against a Colts team that everything went right. You're getting Daniel Jones coming off a career game. Maybe he has. Maybe he's completely fixed. Maybe it's like Sam Darnold. I was skeptical of Sam Darnold last year. He rubbed it in my face until I made all my money back in the playoffs, fading him. So if Danny Dimes is going to go on this run, so be it. I still believe in this Broncos offense. The offensive line, I think, is going to be able to get the running game going. And on the other side, Daniel Jones had a very good game because he was not pressured. there was no Bonito on the Miami Dolphins to get in his face and to, make him hurry up on some of those play selections. And there were a number of turnover-worthy throws that Daniel Jones had that the Miami Dolphins could not, bring home. So it's a fate of Daniel Jones having 2 great games, and it's me thinking Sean Payton's going to be able to make some adjustments and get the win here in Indy.
Okay, so this is the game where my initial reaction, I've since changed. So my initial reaction to the game was Lou Anarumo's the fucking man. I was like pumped up. Had Colts money line. I was fired up. I actually rewatched a lot of the game today, and the reason why is I was nerding out looking at some numbers and saw Tua wasn't pressured on like 22%. Was barely pressured in the game. So I was like, did I misremember it? Because I thought the Colts defense was disruptive. I watched it back. I watched a few series. There were plays Tua could have made in that game.
Oh, my God. Some of the throws, Kyle, I was yelling in the book. I'm like, who are you throwing it to? Someone said it looked like they unplugged his joystick. It really did. Like, those like auto plays when you played Madden back in the day, you got disconnected. Like, who is making that throw? They were so bad. And yeah, I get it. Tua sucks. I've said that a million times, but it doesn't suck that hard normally. And I think there might be some plays available for this Broncos offense against the Colts.
I'm going to probably try to middle. I got Colts plus 3.5's gone. You're not going to get that again.
No.
I was talking about it in the group chat earlier. I think I want to middle it with Broncos money line. I just did a middle the other week and it worked. I had Iowa State money line at minus 120.
That's a great middle.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
3.5 coming back the other way. Yeah,
yep, it was beautiful. So I think my original takeaway was the Colts defense played awesome. My takeaway now is I like the Colts defensive front. I think that secondary is vulnerable. That being said, dude, I think Bo Nix has quickly become one of the most overrated quarterbacks. Remember how we were all doubting him entering last year, and he did play well down the stretch, but it's almost like everyone forgot that he is not a proven Pro Bowl quarterback. Like, we need to pump the brakes. We don't know if Bo Nix is a great NFL quarterback yet. We are still learning. And he did not play well last week. I like this Colts defensive front, as I was saying last week. I like Lou. So I like my Colts plus 3.5. Now that it's close to a pick 'em, it would be Denver, though. I just like that 3.5 because I think the Colts defensive front is good. And also, I'll push back a little bit. I like Shane Steichen, and the Colts offensive line isn't as good as it was a couple years ago, but they can run the ball, and I think he's a creative guy. So I don't think what the Colts did offensively, I've been saying, and I don't think this is a hot take. I think a lot of people have been saying this, that the Colts are a quarterback away from being a pretty damn good team the last couple of years with Anthony Richardson. So I think Daniel Jones, all he has to do is be all right. And I know you don't think he could be all right, but I think he can.
Not for a sustained 17-game season. And maybe I could be wrong, certainly. Maybe the Giants are that bad that all he had to do to get good was not be coached up on the Giants and not be on that roster. That certainly is in the realm of possibility. And yeah, Shane Steichen has had some moments, and this Colts franchise in general has kind of been in QB purgatory since Andrew Luck decided to retire at halftime of a preseason game. Like, it's just been, one kind of, your Matt Ryans, your Carson Wentz, your Phillip Rivers, you're just Anthony Richardson, where they just haven't really been able to figure out the quarterback position. And going back to Bo Nix, I was high on Bo Nix and the Broncos coming into the season last year. I thought they were a nice dark horse at 7-1 to make the playoffs, that cash. But to your point, a lot of the optimism was like, hey, he finished the season strong, got into the playoffs as a rookie. He's going to make a jump up. Now, it's only been one game, but certainly even as a guy who was optimistic about Bo Nix, did not like what I saw. He was pressing. He was forcing the ball when he didn't have to. So I believe in Sean Payton being able to make adjustments with Bo Nix, and Bo Nix, what worked in last year was that he was very coachable and he progressed for the most part, but he had a couple outlier games where he got sloppy and tried to force the ball. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of right the ship here. I think he will. The Broncos had 4 turnovers last week. I don't think that's going to happen again. That's kind of where I'm starting at.
The way I see it is, if I'm going to fade this Colts defense, I want a quarterback that can get the ball to the sidelines. Give me a Matt Stafford. I don't think Bo Nix is the guy, because I think the weakness is the secondary. I'm not scared of Bo Nix exploiting the secondary. Try to run the ball on the Colts. That Lou and that defensive front, man. All right. We're going to talk some college football. Sean, where's your next show on?
Check us out. Sports Gambling Podcast, our NFL picks episode, picking every NFL game against the spread. Our NFL props episode, give out 15 props, couple crazy parlays. And then, if you watch VSiN Friday night, 7 o'clock, we're there. It's on YouTube TV and Sirius XM, 7 o'clock Pacific. So, those are the next shows. And, we got a free app, SGPN, in your app store. So thanks for having me on as always, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and their NFL picks video for the week is up already. I actually just watched it this morning, so that's already up. So
awesome. Yes. Thank you, Kyle.
Talk to you soon, man.
Appreciate it. Let it ride.
Later. All right, let's talk some college football. Let's get the duck on. Yo, what's up, man? We got from the Action Network, the Duck is officially with us. How's your week so far, man?
Not too bad. How about yours?
Well, I had Wake Forest plus 7.5, so.
Same. What a brutal beat that was, covering for 56 minutes.
Yeah, it was they're up 14-0. I was like, finally, a sweat-free winner. Nope.
Disgusting. And the interception by the defensive lineman returned for a touchdown, just gross.
Yeah, it was a brutal loss. And I had the Commanders. Was not my Thursday night. This week's not starting off on the strong side. That being said, I do have some great numbers entering this Saturday, which always gives me some confidence. Of course, I had great numbers last week. Well, I broke even last week. I didn't lose last week. But so, I got some great numbers I'm feeling good about. I do have a bet in this first game. And for those of you listening, it's Georgia-Tennessee up first. I bet the under 50.5 early. I don't know what Duck's about to say. I don't think I've heard Duck talk about this game yet. Seems like Georgia is a pretty popular pick. We're polling 81% Georgia right now as far as people watching. So it seems like Georgia's a pretty popular pick. I talked about this game a couple times this week. It would only be Georgia for me in terms of a side. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, this is a spot I had circled in the offseason for Georgia. I'm stunned at the perception of these two teams and how it's changed. You know, you look at the public now and they think Tennessee is this great team because they've destroyed two inferior opponents in Syracuse and East Tennessee State. And nobody cares more about the non-conference than Josh Heupel, and nobody cares less than Kirby Smart. And just because they didn't cover against Marshall and just because they didn't cover against Austin Peay doesn't mean anything. I went back and looked at it for Joey Aguilar in the Sun Belt. When you look at his performance, 50 big-time throws, 51 turnover-worthy plays for Aguilar. When pressured, though, 11 big-time throws, 26 turnover-worthy plays. He really struggles when the pressure is in his face. He makes poor decisions. He takes unnecessary sacks. He couldn't do it in the Sun Belt. So this Georgia front, I feel like, is going to just completely eat this Tennessee offensive line alive. Aguilar is going to make mistakes. I am truly stunned that we have this perception of Tennessee that is what it is, considering just 3 short weeks ago, everybody thought this team was hot garbage, and I did too. So I don't know. I took Georgia minus 6.5 in the game of the year lines. I went back for more at 3.5. I love the position here. I think Georgia wins this game by a couple touchdowns on the road.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I'm on the under, but it would only be Georgia on the side. And I completely agree with what you said about Aguilar. It seems like last year just didn't happen. I can assure you last year did happen because I bet App State several times. It most definitely happened. And Aguilar was struggling against Sun Belt defenses. And how's he? Well, we saw him against who? Syracuse, East Tennessee State. Guys, this is Georgia. It's a little bit of a step up in competition, and Aguilar, like Duck was saying, he's shown us he's down to turn the ball over. So yeah, it would only be Georgia, but the bet I actually have is the under. And we'll move on to the next one. I have a bet on this game. Got a good number. I'm on North Texas at 3.5. Grabbed it as soon as I saw it on Sunday afternoon. Are you on the same side?
Same side, exquisite bet, 3.5. I'm at 4.5. I took more at 6.5. You look at North Texas, this is the first team that's going to be able to challenge Wazoo in the secondary. Idaho couldn't do it. San Diego State couldn't do it. People look at the final score for Washington State, and they think that they just completely dominated and blew San Diego State out, but San Diego State scored first. They had this blocked punt that was taken back due to a phantom offsides penalty, and I think people are also looking at the final score for North Texas thinking, wow, their defense played like garbage and they allowed 30 points to Western Michigan, but they were really the victim of some short fields. There was some wind that penalized them in the second quarter, and I didn't think North Texas's defense really looked too bad here. So a couple things that I look at: North Texas, 5th nationally in pass explosiveness allowed. Washington State is just 134th in total offensive pass explosiveness. North Texas is really good in pass down success rate. Washington State is just 136th in pass down success rate. They can't throw the football with any real efficiency. North Texas is going to eat these guys alive, and North Texas offensively at home with Mestamaker is going to really challenge Wazoo in the secondary here. So I like North Texas to get the win. I think they'll win by more than 7. I think they'll win by a couple scores here. So let's go Mean Green.
Yeah, agree completely. Honestly, I would still bet it as long as it's under a touchdown, to be honest. I don't even care. I think it's at, 5.5, 6 now? Actually, I think I saw 6.5, and it came back down. So it looks like there was some buyback on Washington State. But yeah, like you said, selling high on Washington State after a really great-looking game on paper. But really, what I'm looking at is that North Texas Western Michigan game. That game went to overtime. That was not a close football game. That was a domination, man. North Texas averaged 6.4 yards per play to 4.27. That was an absolute domination. North Texas was very clearly better than Western Michigan. So just based on the fact that they played a close game, we got that nice opening number. North Texas is much better than Washington State on both sides of the ball. The defense has improved as we've seen so far this year. The offense at home with Eric Morris, just chalk them up for 45 because they do it every single game for years. So yeah, I like this bet. Let's do it.
And just one other scheduling note, too. Washington State goes east of the Mountain Time Zone 4 times this season. They go to JMU, they go to Virginia, they go to Ole Miss, and they come here to North Texas. And I look to fade the Cougs each of those trips. It's an unusual scheduling quirk where they really don't travel this far east routinely. So I think the depth of this team will wear down as we see the season progress. They have 26 FCS players from last year in the starting 2 deep. I think the Cougs are in some major trouble here.
Agreed. Nice. We're in lockstep there. Oh man, I would almost promise you we're not going to be in lockstep in this one. I bet this game, by the way.
I did too.
I'm a Chris Creighton apologist.
I am too, and he's a great dog.
Yo, you got the 24. Yo, let's go.
I didn't take him this week. I'm going to tell you right now. I want to hear your take first.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on. Let me get the poll up. I would love to go first. So I did bet this, and yes, I was made fun of in the group chat. Scoop makes fun of how I always defend Chris Creighton. Doesn't have a ton to work with there. Last year he was riddled with injuries, and yes, he's off to a pretty terrible start this year. I actually got plus 24.5, I think, or I forget, to be honest. Well, let me pull up my notes. So, yes, the last game for Eastern Michigan was embarrassing. They lost to LIU. I'm not making excuses. It was bad. That being said, we've seen this movie before. Eastern Michigan looks awful under Chris Creighton. Everyone's talking shit. Then they go on the road and beat a Power 4 program. Let me take you back. 2017, Eastern Michigan goes on the road to Piscataway, beats Rutgers. 2018, Eastern Michigan goes on the road to Purdue, beats the Boilermakers. 2019, Eastern Michigan goes on the road to Illinois, beats Illinois. 2022, they go to Tempe, beat Arizona State. Chris Creighton is the king of looking like shit and then going on the road and beating a Power 4 program. He gets his teams up for these games. It looks terrible, I know. But on top of all that, on top of this coach showing us he gets his guys ready for these big Power 4 games, catches these teams napping, he's playing Kentucky with a backup quarterback. I don't even trust Kentucky's offense with Calzada. The kid that's playing is his name's Cutter Boley. He's a redshirt freshman. He played a little bit last year in the year he redshirted. 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions last year. Now he played against Texas and it was crazy games he played in. But yeah, and on top of all that, I think Eastern Michigan can catch Kentucky napping. On top of all that, we got a backup quarterback here for Kentucky, and I don't even think this is a very good offense anyway with their starting quarterback. Eastern Michigan can move the ball with Noah Kim. They were doing it on the road to North Texas. This is a disgusting one, but I did bet it.
Yeah, so I took the over when it was at 44.5, and I took Kentucky's team total over at 34.5. You look at Eastern Michigan, their loss to Long Island last week, who's a really bad NEC FCS team, did not look good. They allowed almost 500 yards there and 5.1 yards per rush against Long Island, and 543 yards per game given up already defensively, 8 yards per play. It's really bad. I love Chris Creighton as a coach. I think this is the worst defense he's ever had there. Just 129th in defensive success rate surrendered, 133rd in defensive EPA per play, 122nd in defensive havoc achieved. There's just not a lot to draw on defensively here, and so I look at Kentucky. They really need a game where they can wash the stink of the Ole Miss loss off of them. Cutter Boley will throw it around here, but I look for Kentucky to run for 300 yards in this game. They'll probably average 7.5 yards per rush. They'll score 40 or 45 themselves. I think Eastern Michigan is good for 10 to 14. Hopefully, for the sake of your wager, I hope they're good for 21 to 24. But this screams Kentucky team total over. They're going to throw it around and have a lot of fun here before the bye week, I believe.
They're going to throw it around with a backup quarterback, throw a pick 6.
I hope so for your sake and mine. I have the over.
This is the Chris Creighton special, man. He shows up and wins the game when everyone's talking about how bad the team is.
Yeah, the good thing for Eastern Michigan, though, is, they will abandon the run here. They've thrown the ball a lot in the first couple. 63 pass attempts already for Noah Kim, 65% completion percentage with a 3.0 touchdown to interception ratio. I think they'll keep throwing the ball around here late, so there's definitely a chance for Eastern Michigan to put up some points.
Next game, very interested to hear what you have to say about this one. Are you, true or false, are you a Clay Helton guy?
No.
Well, to the
not particularly.
I kind of think, for me, and I'll let you go first, but I think Georgia Southern's going to put up a big number offensively. It's whether or not you could trust anything about that defense. I was thinking over Georgia Southern, team total over, or Georgia Southern minus the 3. That's kind of where I'm at. If there's one aspect of this game I like Georgia Southern to finally move the ball after a slow start. What do you think?
I've already bet this game. I'm semi in lockstep with you here. Georgia Southern has done exactly what I thought they were going to do when I was researching them in the beginning of the summer. They started 0-2. They had a tough scheduling quirk where they had to be on the West Coast twice. They stayed out there, so they really haven't been to campus now for a couple of weeks before they came back from the USC loss. This is an absolute rally the troops, save your season spot for Gata. And it's one that I had circled, so I'm not really trying to swing with the pendulum here with the perception of, is Jacksonville State really good? Does Georgia Southern suck? This is one that I had circled before these teams even took a snap, where it's like, okay, Georgia Southern's going to be 0-2. They're going to rally the troops here. This is an absolute must-win game for them. And now you get a little line value because Jacksonville State is now being perceived to be good. They just beat the conference favorite in Liberty. And Jacksonville State defensively, 131st in explosiveness surrendered, 127th in defensive pass EPA allowed, 92nd in pass play success allowed. I think Georgia Southern's going to pass all over these guys. You know, when you look at Jacksonville State, they were outgained by 150 yards against Liberty, gave up 534 yards to Liberty, who's a complete mess offensively. They have looked terrible now in 2 games. And Jacksonville State won that game despite 52 yards passing and 6 completed passes against Liberty. Gavin Wimsett can't throw the ball. Georgia Southern's going to stack 8, possibly 9 in the box and dare those receivers to win one-on-one. Not happening here. I'm telling you, Georgia Southern is a complete I mean, if they're not a good defense, but they're going to play well at home on Saturday. I am very confident about that. Gatta's going to get the win and possibly turn their season around here. -3 is an absolute play.
Yeah, well, I just grabbed the -3.5 because all the threes are gone. But I'm in. I don't care. You gave me even more confidence. I was already leaning that way. The part of what you said that I'm not 100% on board with is you said, I know this defense isn't any good, but I'm confident they'll play well here. I don't know about all that. What I do know is that I think this offense is going to score on mostly every drive in this game. Jacksonville State, their numbers against the pass are terrible so far this year. They played UCF in their first game ever with Scott Frost and a brand new roster. Like, the entire roster is new there in UCF. That's who they played first. And then they played Liberty, who's really struggling. They're still allowing over 10.5 yards per pass attempt. This Jacksonville State pass defense is very bad, and they're going on the road. If there's one thing Clay Helton could do, it's draw up some passing schemes, man. Like, they can throw the ball. That's what Georgia Southern can do. So this is the perfect matchup. And like Duck said, they've been out on the West Coast. They finally come home, and they finally play a home game. I think it's the perfect game for the Georgia Southern offense to just finally show up and put up a big number in this game. I agree with that. Where I'm a little hesitant is on the other side of the ball because Georgia Southern's defense, they were already bad, and then they lost Watson Trent, who was the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year, so they lost their best player. It's a bad defense, but, I mean, Jacksonville State's offense is not good with Wimsatt, so I'm in. Let's do it. Georgia Southern.
I love it.
Last game on the board. Oh, man. I don't know if we're going to be in. I bet this one. I'm on Duke. What are you on?
Dude, I hate to tell you this.
You're on the other side.
I hate to spoil the party here late night on Thursday night into Friday morning. But I'm on the Dukies as well, man. Let's go. Let's get to the window here. You talk about Duke and the perception of how this team has changed. They were last week's complete darling. Everyone loved them at home against Illinois. I would argue to say they outplayed the Illini for the better portion of that game. They gift-wrapped and bow-tied that 45-19 loss with the 5-0 turnover ratio. But you look at Tulane this year, they've really struggled in early downs, and as a result, Tulane has attempted 32 third downs already. Well, what the hell are you doing on first and second down that's causing you to have 32 third down attempts? The Green Wave is just 111th nationally in offensive standard down explosiveness. They're not explosive overall on offense. Jake Retzlaff is the team's leading rusher. This Duke front is going to be the strongest front that Tulane has played this season, and it's really going to give Tulane fits. Duke, defensively, has already secured 7 sacks and 20 tackles for loss this year. They're going to really cause some problems for Tulane. Excuse me. The other problem with Tulane is they're heavily penalized this year. Already 16 accepted penalties for 152 yards against them. I think the penalties will come costly here. Duke's going to get back to the up-tempo offense, averaging 500 yards per game and 8 yards per play. This was, at the beginning of the season, one of those games for Duke where it's like, oh, we really want to win this game on the road. But now at 1-1, you have to win this game to save your season. I like Duke and Darian Mensah to go in there back to his old stomping ground, completely get this win.
I agree. And the more I looked at it, in the beginning, when I first looked, I was like, I'm kind of leaning Duke. And then I really looked at it, and I was like, oh, shit, I kind of love Duke here. The final score of the Illinois game couldn't be more deceiving, 45-19. Duke outplayed Illinois. They turned it over 5 times to 0. That's the difference in the game. I mean, Duke averaged almost 7 yards per play. And we were just talking about this the other night. You can't just eliminate the turnovers. You can't just pretend those didn't happen, because they did happen, and it's a part of execution. It's something you have to consider. But if you just remove those 5 plays and just look at the rest of the game, one team is clearly better than the other. I mean, Duke was moving the ball fluently, 7 yards per play in the game. That's against a very good Illinois team. Illinois top 25 offensive line. Would you agree with that? Probably, right? Illinois top 25 offensive line?
Without question, yes.
Yeah. Duke held them to 2.93 yards per carry. That Duke defensive line is serious. This is a Tulane offense that's been doing nothing but running. Like Duck said, their passing numbers are pretty bad. Retzlaff has not been good throwing the ball. He's made some plays with his legs, but all Tulane's been doing is running the football so far this year. They're not going to run the ball on Duke. I like this. I think wrong team's favored here. I'd make this Duke -2, honestly. 2.5 maybe.
Yeah, it's really good to get them as an underdog, get the plus money on the money line. I think that, I mean, it's just really a spot where they have to now have it. And I like teams where their back's against a wall. And there's a little extra motivation here with Darian Mensah coming back home to Tulane. These guys are going to want to get this win for him.
Yep. All right.
Outside of that, we got a great slate, though, too. I mean, we've got a tremendous slate with Georgia Tech and Clemson, which we didn't discuss. We've got Vanderbilt and South Carolina. I mean, there's just so many good games on the slate this weekend. This is one where you're going to want to strap in for 12 hours.
Yeah, this is a good one for sure. Did you get in on the early ODU?
Oh, yeah. I'm at 8.5 with ODU. I love ODU this
I got
week.
12.5.
Yeah.
I was all over that one.
I was about half an hour late to the party there, but that's absolutely – Virginia Tech is a mess, and their head coach might be out the door after this week. I'm telling you.
What about Florida LSU?
I think Florida's probably not as bad as they played last week. LSU's also not as bad as they played against Louisiana Tech in a spot where you just kind of run the ball, get in, get out. And I think it'll be real interesting to see if Florida can kind of rally the troops defensively and create some pressure on Nuss, because I think Nuss can really burn that secondary if they can't. Gun to my head, I'd play Florida plus the 7.5 or plus 8, but I don't have a play on the game as of now. How about you?
I got good numbers in that one. I'm on Florida in the under, but bet them both. And I think Caleb Banks is coming back at defensive tackle for Florida. And I think the Florida defense is going to play really well. LSU hasn't played a good offensive game yet. Now, I'm sure they will at some point. But, yeah, it's going to be a good one. Duck, where can these fine folks find your stuff?
Action Network. So I do the G5 deep dive with Mike Calabrese. We got a podcast that comes out every Wednesday morning. I'm on the BBOC live show on Saturday mornings on YouTube. I write 10 to 12 articles a week there. I'm a guest on the BetUS live show. I appear on your show every Thursday night. So I'm a lot of places, and then you can find me actively on Twitter at Step on a Duck.
Cool. Thanks, Duck. Talk to you over the weekend, man.
All right, brother. Have a great weekend. See you at the window.
Later. And now it is time for Scrub Hour. All right, let's get him on. It's just you. I'm not leaving you out to dry. I'm hanging out on the screen.
We're good. I thought Trevor was staying on for a second.
No, Trevor, dude, listen to this. This is so vintage Trevor. So Trevor was supposed to come on with me and Sean Green and react to the Packers game. It was going to be the three of us reacting, and then he was going to leave while we went through games. He was just going to come on and react. Screw the green screen right now. So about, 40 minutes before we're supposed to go live, Trevor sends me a message. He goes, "Bro, I can't come on. Been at the bar way too long."
Yo, that's not Trevor. Dude, I don't know what.
No, it gets better. So he sends me. I was like, dude, no worries. It was just a reaction. Who cares? As the show's starting, he's typing in the chat, all caps. Send me the link. Send me the link. Like, dude, I'm not sending you the link. I am not bringing you on right now. You are probably a disaster. So yeah, that's what Trevor's doing tonight.
I love you, Trevor, so much. Never change.
When he said under the lights, bro, that was. All right. It's just toast, so it's going to be more rapid fire.
Yep.
Go ahead. Rays Cubs.
It would only be the Rays for me at this price. I'm not really a fan of the Cubs laying this huge number. I know that they've been playing, I guess, a little bit better baseball lately. But at the same time, in no way, shape, or form should I be laying this huge number with them. Their bullpen's a mess with Palencia out, and I don't really trust these guys, especially at this number. Now, as far as Matthew Boyd goes, I also don't really know what to think of him. He has been, I guess, average over his last 5 or 6 starts, maybe not 7. The Baltimore start was good, but at the same time, this Rays team really hasn't been good versus left-handed pitching, and Baz is a wild card, so I'm not going to actually bet the Rays. But price-wise, I think that price is kind of ridiculous a little bit. So it would only be Tampa Bay at the price, but I'm not betting it.
So you said Rays or pass here, okay?
Yes, sir.
Next game, Royals Phillies. Oh, the Mets Phillies series ended. The Mets won the last one.
Nope, they lost again in the late innings. McNeil, your boy.
Jesus.
just a terrible route in center field. They play him everywhere, but it is what it is. They just can't. The Mets just can't win in Philadelphia. But Lorenzen versus Walker Buehler here. I played the over 9 in this game. It's a little bit juiced at 115. I think we're going to see 9.5 tomorrow. Pretty decent weather in Citizens Bank Ballpark tomorrow. Our friends over at Ballpark Pal have it as a plus 19% home run increase for them, which is always positive. But you have Walker Buehler on the mound, who hasn't been good this year at all and does really struggle with lefty bats. And if there's one thing that it's kind of surprising, that Kansas City now, after the trade deadline with Yastrzemski, and obviously they didn't get Pasquantino from the trade deadline, but Pasquantino and Frazier and Caglione and Isabel, I mean, they have multiple lefties in that lineup. Isabel's terrible. We have some guys, and they haven't been great offensively, but at this, we know that there's lots of runs to be had in the bank. And then Michael Lorenzen, on the other hand, just not a guy I love. Not that this Phillies offense has been like super impressive without Trey Turner, but they kind of turned it on in this Mets series. And with the good weather in the bank, I just trust that we get our overs here. So it's more of a nice weather. Both these teams can hit score. So I played the over.
Next, Pirates Nats.
Super easy pass, especially once you're not getting, especially at a pick 'em. If you gun to my head, I guess the Pirates, because they've been playing better as of late, and I still think that they have a small pitching advantage, but the pitching advantage is very, very slim. This is an absolute coin flip to me. The price that tells you everything. It'd be Pirates or pass, but zero interest.
Next, Orioles, Blue Jays in Toronto. Bassett against Trevor Rogers.
I know. This one's kind of hard for me. I don't really know what to think of this Blue Jays team right now. The Astros series was kind of weird, but they're not definitely. Toronto's like one of the best lineups in baseball. I'm not trying to take anything away from Toronto, but versus left-handed pitching, they haven't been as dominant over the last, 2 weeks or so, maybe a little bit more. And they also have some of those numbers are like really inflated because they put 7 runs on Corbin, 6 runs on Kyle Freeland, 5 runs on Palmquist, 4 runs on Noah Cameron, which is all impressive. That goes back almost a month now. But my point being is that I don't think that those numbers versus left-handed pitching is fantastic. So I don't really think that Trevor Rogers is going to pitch bad here. Again, you can try to poke holes in what he's done, and maybe that the Dodgers you can maybe start to worry about him. But 5 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 9 total base runners isn't great, but he only gave up 2 runs. So again, it would only be under for me. Bass has been actually pitching really well. And this Baltimore offense is kind of hit or miss, especially on the road. And they don't really have the lefties that I'm really going to worry about. I know that there's multiple lefties in that lineup, but when you're worried about guys like Bieber, and I know Basello has kind of had his moments at times this year, but really not a bet I'm going to worry about on a day-to-day basis. So it would only be under for me.
Jacob's in the comments. He's taking Baltimore. He said Toronto's not the same without Bichette.
Yeah, that's a great point. Very great point. That's why it was kind of hard for me to pick a side, because I didn't really know what to think of them in that that last series versus the Astros because of the bullpen situations. There was a blow up. It was just weird.
Tigers Marlins in Miami. It's Scoobs.
Yeah. It would only be the Tigers for me. I wouldn't play this. I wouldn't play the money line. Obviously, I'd play -1.5, but Sandy's been pretty decent. But this Detroit offense, this Detroit team has been playing pretty decent right now, and they're in middle of a playoff race, kind of. Again, if Miami was a little bit better versus left-handed pitching, I would try to maybe get there with the Marlins. I do think that there's I know that they got their butts kicked today, but I do think that playing on 9/11 in New York and that everything that goes along with that, it's a definite letdown spot to get on the plane and then fly down to Miami and play a quote unquote lifeless Marlins team. So it's definitely not something I want to get involved in.
Next is Rangers Mets in a pick'em. DeGrom returns to City. Holy shit.
I know, dude. Man, this one is kind of hard.
It's easy. Mets. I'm going to tattoo his ass.
Okay. I don't know about tattoo him. Look, I will say this, that I know that Kyle's obviously making a joke a little bit, but DeGrom hasn't really been the dominant DeGrom that we've seen over his last 7 starts. One positive is that his last 2 road starts, very good, but only 10 total innings. He's only going 5 innings, and that's where I think that the Mets kind of hold an advantage here is late in this game, because as much as I know that the Mets bullpen has been disappointing, to say the least, I do think that they hold an advantage. This Texas bullpen is pretty damn bad. Not to mention the fact that this Tong kid, I don't know what to expect from him. I know that the talent's there, and I'm not trying to make a joke, but like it's kind of reminds me of the Miz, where the talent's there, everybody's excited for what he's doing and wants to talk about him. But the fact of the matter is that he's given up 4 runs every time he's gone out there. So now the Miami start, they weren't all earned, so you can give him that. But regardless, there was 4 on the board. So I'm just not there just to completely let that go. Not to mention the fact that the Mets are coming home from a pretty long road trip where they were in Detroit, then Cincinnati, and then in Philadelphia. They're coming home without a day off, and the Rangers are actually kind of playing well. So it would only be the Mets for me if I had to make a bet on the game, but I would need at least some plus money to actually fade DeGrom.
You're not going to get plus money with the better team at home.
I don't know if they're that much better, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay, well, the Rangers have a better record, so if that matters.
What is a record's meaningless? I go by talent.
I almost fell into that trap, and I
go by MLB The Show ratings.
Thank you.
That's how I evaluate White Sox, Guardians, and Cleveland.
This is just an absolute pass. You could put the White Sox up for me. I guess Tanner Bybee had 1 decent start, so I guess maybe he's back. I'm joking on that. But this, for one, I don't really know what to expect from Martin Perez. I know that he pitched really well for 4 or 5 starts, and then he had a blow-up start on the road in Detroit. Do I think that Cleveland has the type of offense to punish him like Detroit did? No. But at the same time, I mean, Bybee had been terrible. He went on the road in Tampa Bay in a AAA ballpark and pitched 6 2/3 innings. I mean, there's a lot of talent there. I just think there's a lot of coin flips scenarios in this game. So it would only be the White Sox at this price. I do think that this price is kind of ridiculous. So, and the White Sox are actually playing really well right now. They're 8-2 their last 10. So it's not like they're just like folding over and dying. So it would only be the White Sox for me. I wish I could trust Martin Perez just a little bit more. Game of the night, probably, right here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah, I really think this is a cheap price to get the Yankees. I know that the Red Sox have definitely had their way with the Yankees so far this season. There's no question about that. I think the Red Sox are 8-2 against the Yankees so far this season. Giolito pitched average, I guess, against them, 4 2/3, 3 runs. The first time he saw this offense. For me, it's more of a question of what you're going to get out of Luis Gil and this Red Sox offense. Obviously, without Roman Anthony, it's completely different. And they had some games in against Arizona, and they had some games against the Athletics and Sutter Health. And I mean, they scored some runs there, but I mean, against some really bad pitching. And Luis Gil, I mean, is going to be a pretty significant step up in class from all the other right-handed starters that Boston has seen. I mean, righties like Mason Barnett, Luis Morales, Ryan Nelson, Brandon Pfaadt, Slade Ciccone, Mitch Keller, Johan Avedo, Mike Burrows, going back till the end of last month. They saw Paul Skeens as well in that Pittsburgh series. But point being is that this is a significant, besides Paul Skeens, obviously, this is a significant step up in class. And Luis Gil has pitched good at home and on the road, and he's going at least 5 innings or more in all of his starts. And that 6-inning performance at home against Toronto shows me that he's probably stretched out and ready to go. So I know that the Yankees bullpen's always an issue, but I think you can kind of say the same thing for Boston. So I don't really love Giolito or love fading Giolito because he's been so good to me this year. But I think the Yankees have the advantage in pretty much every facet of this game besides being at home. So it would only be the Yankees for me.
I'm gonna go Boston money line.
Awesome.
Just feel it.
Yeah.
Just got a feeling that's the play.
Now I'm going to bet the Yankees now.
I'm going to bet Boston. I wasn't joking.
Okay, great.
Astros on the road in Atlanta.
This is like an absolute pass for me. I don't know what to expect out of this Blau kid, or however you say his last name. I guess decent in the or he's been decent in his small time in Major League Baseball this year. Pitched against Toronto, Texas, the Yankees, the Angels, but all these are like 1 or 2 inning sample sizes. I don't want to confuse people like he's going out there and pitching a whole bunch. I'm just saying that he's actually had a couple coffees. So it's probably going to be somewhat of a bullpen day for Houston. I would assume that you see him for a couple innings. You probably see a guy like Lance McCullers for a couple innings, JP France or something like that. Now that these rosters are a little bit bigger now with some of these AAA arms in there, like McCullers and JP France or whatever. Nick Hernandez is another one of those guys. I would assume that's who kind of eats it all up for them. To be honest, I don't know why you would get Atlanta at such a price. Because I do think that they have a pitching advantage. I know that Waltrip isn't like some Cy Young winner or anything like that, but he's been really, really good for this team. So you can put up Atlanta for me. I don't know if I actually bet it, but Waltrip has been going out there at home or on the road against Seattle, Philadelphia, Miami, the White Sox, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Miami again. He got lit up by Tampa Bay and I'm sorry, that was last year's start, excuse me. So he hasn't even been lit up this year. I have no reason to believe that he can't pitch well against the Astros. Not to mention the Astros are coming home from Canada without any days off. So it would only be Atlanta for me. I don't actually know if I get there. The Atlanta bullpen is just shaky to say the least, but they're all rested and available, so that helps.
Arizona, Minnesota. Pablo, how do you do his last start?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think it was like fantastic. Yeah, or it was. It was six innings, 2 runs. It was against the Royals though, so I don't know if that really counts. But I'm being facetious. It was all right. It was all right.
Got to be Snakes at +110.
I played over 8. I don't know. That might be available on one book left. I paid -120 for it. I know that it's moving to 8.5 now, but I thought this number was a little bit too low here. With 2 starting pitchers that obviously I think if you guys watch this show that you know that I don't like. So it's going to be decent weather. It's going to be 80 miles an hour, 80 degrees with the wind blowing out. And you have Brandon Pfaadt, who's coming off of a decent home start versus Boston. Congratulations. But let us not forget his last 3 road starts against the Dodgers, Milwaukee, and Colorado. 4 innings, 4 runs, 2 2/3, 6 runs, 6 innings, 4 runs. Brandon Pfaadt, to say that Brandon Pfaadt has struggled on the road this year is an understatement. You have Pablo Lopez coming back home, but versus an Arizona team that's been scoring runs lately. They've been scoring about 4 runs a game, and that's kind of all I need because this Minnesota offense has been pretty damn good themselves. I mean, nothing crazy, but especially at home, they're like a top 15 offense, and over the last couple of weeks, they're a top 10 offense. So, and it's decent. Like I said, it's decent weather in Minnesota. I think it's going to be 8.5 across the board tomorrow. Neither one of these bullpens can be trusted at all. So even if both these guys go out there and give you 6 innings of 2-run baseball and there's 4 or 5 runs going into the 6th or 7th, I think that we have more than a good chance of cashing these bets. So yeah, over 8 or over 8.5 is fine too.
Cardinals, Brewers.
You can put up the Brewers. There's no way I would bet the Cardinals at this price. Palante's been absolutely terrible. Do I want to lay it with the Brewers? Not really, but it is Quinn Priester Day, and they always win when he's on the mound. So it's just really hard to make a case for him. Not to mention the fact that Palante is coming off of 2 somewhat decent starts against Cincinnati and San Francisco. I think it's about time that he gets sent back to the throttling stage that he was back for 4 weeks prior to that. So not that Milwaukee's been killing the ball or playing well, but at the same time, it's Palante and the Cardinals. There's not much to worry about. So they're heavy favorites for a reason. It would only be Milwaukee for me. I'm not betting it though.
All right. Just a few games left here. Rockies against Cease.
Yeah. You could put the Rockies up for me. I just
Dead ass, right? You got to go Rockies.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't think the Padres are playing well enough to command this type of price in the market, to be dead honest with you. I know that they've won their last 2 games, so they're they've lost 10 out of their last 16 games or whatever. So they haven't been playing 500 baseball for a while now. And Dylan Cease is coming off 2 somewhat decent starts. But one of them was against this Colorado team. So they just saw him. He did pitch well against them, but if I know Dylan Cease, like everybody else knows Dylan Cease, sooner or later that blow up's going to come. So, and I wouldn't want to be sitting with a minus 280 or whatever the number is right now ticket with the Padres. 325, excuse me. Sorry. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So if you're into taking the Rockies at plus 2.5 at a decent price and stuff, that would be fine too. But I actually think I'm going to be taking the Rockies at this number. I truly believe this number is absolutely ridiculous. Tanner Gordon hasn't even really been that bad. He gave up 6 runs his last start to the Padres, but previous to that, pitched well at home against the Cubs, pitched well on the road against the Astros, pitched well at home against the Dodgers as well. Gave up 3 and 5 innings to Arizona. He hadn't been pitching bad prior to that. It's only the Rockies for me.
Look at this price on the next one. The Reds are dogs here to JT Ginn.
Yeah, I have no idea. You could put the Reds up for me. They're just so hit or miss. I mean, Brady Singer has been really good, and really good for a while now. I mean, going back probably to the beginning of 2 months ago, really. I mean, he's had like 2 blow-up starts, and essentially he's given you 6 innings of 1-run baseball, if not better, every time he goes out there. It's been extremely, extremely impressive. So road starts, Arizona, the Angels, Pittsburgh, Washington. The Washington start wasn't great, but again, that's just kind of baseball. But both these teams are like very mirror images to me. Not that the fact that their talent is the same or anything like that, but when they're hot and they're playing well, it's fun to bet on them and stuff. But they're at the same time, when they get cold, it's really, really hard. I mean, and especially with this Oakland team or the Athletics, I mean, they put up 8 off of Soriano, but they are previous to that, they were blanked by Jose Urania and Michaelis. They put up 7 versus Sonny Gray. It's just so hit or miss with this team. It's just really hard to like them if in certain spots. And with JT Ginn on the mound, I mean, I know that he has pitched somewhat decent lately, I guess, but the one thing that's a positive for him, and maybe this is why they think that he's going to pitch well tomorrow, is that he dominates righty bats. And if there's one thing that's the Reds. I think there's 7 righty bats in that lineup. I think Lux and Friedel are the only lefties. And De La Cruz, I guess, is a switch if you want to count that. But besides that, so as far as splits wise, he should pitch well. He's been hit or miss. I don't know. It would only be the Reds for me at plus money. I just don't know why you can lay juice with the Athletics right now. But yeah,
I don't know why they're favored.
I don't know either. I looked at that game twice and I just am still baffled. Like I'm missing something.
Sounds fishy. Angels. Yeah, I'm tired though.
I know. This game, it would only be Angels again for me. I'm on the Angels tonight. I'm at a decent price. It's the top of the 11th. They're up 5-4. I think their bullpen's going to be taxed. I don't have everything in front of me, but I would be pretty close. It'd be pretty bad. I'm assuming it's going to be pretty bad. But Kikuchi's been absolutely terrible, but he has pitched well against Seattle in the past. It is what it is. But the total, now that I'm looking at this game going in the 11th, you can actually switch it to over 7.5, and then I'll get out of your hair.
Good switch.
Yeah, because I think that's
terrible.
Much better. Yeah, I was looking at the big plus price with Castillo on the mound. That's what got me. But now that I know it's 7.5, it would only be over for me. But yeah,
Seattle.
We can go to the next.
Coochie's a fade.
I 100% agree with you. And Castillo at home is a lot different too.
Dodgers, Giants. Are they still the best team in baseball? Whatever you said.
No, they've fallen off. That's for sure.
It's almost like they were never the best team in baseball.
No, but they were playing extremely well, and up until that day that you made the comment that they would lose. They did lose. You were right, but you weren't right on the price thing. But at 120 they lost on a walk-off, and then they lost the game. But that next day they were plus 135. So it's just, I don't know if the market knows what to do with this San Francisco team, to be honest with you. But I think you can put up the Dodgers for me. I don't know if I actually bet it. I kind of want to see if some San Francisco money comes in. I've been saying this for a while now. Justin Verlander's pitching really well, and I don't think anybody's really talking about that. But over his last 7 starts, got lit up in San Diego, and got lit up against Washington early. But I mean, 0 runs in 6 innings against St. Louis, 0 runs, 5 innings against Baltimore, 7 innings, 0 runs against Tampa Bay. All those starts at home. Hasn't faced this Dodgers team yet, which is always a positive. A lot of these Dodger hitters have seen him, but I do think the fact that the Dodgers are starting to get a little bit more healthy back now that you have Max Muncy in that lineup. You should have Tommy Edmonds back in that lineup tomorrow as well. On top of Will Smith, they say that he should play tomorrow. So now it goes from a Dodgers lineup over the last 2 weeks or so, and they've been playing bad for a while. But a Dodgers lineup over the last 2 weeks or so that's looked more of like a very top-heavy AAA lineup is now a lot more deeper. And the Dodgers had the day off yesterday as well. Both teams did. But it would only be the Dodgers for me at this price. Maybe a sneaky under, but I don't want to play an under in the Dodgers Giants series. It's just not fun. So Dodgers or anything.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. College football games, there's 3 of them tomorrow in terms of the FBS matchups. I recorded a video already. I just didn't edit it or put the graphics in or anything. So give me like 40 minutes. It'll be up. Yeah. Let's have ourselves a good one. Please remember to bet responsibly. Talk to y'all later.